Well, hello there and welcome back to the channel. I feel as though I've not been very engaged with YouTube recently, but I'm on a steep learning curve trying to get to grips with Substack, which uses a certain amount of brain ache, and I'm enjoying it. So the club, any clubbers who haven't got the big idea yet, we've gone to Substack. So you give up your membership here on the YouTube and ping over to Substack, find the Common Farm Flowers Club and take on a paid membership there. It's better value, you get much more for your money. That's all I'm saying. But I have been a bit absent because I've been learning how to do it, so I apologise for that. But I thought it's an absolutely glorious February Sunday, and I thought I'd bring you around the garden to show you what I'm up to and a couple of things I've worked out, and see if you find inspiration or are inspired to do something different in your own garden because of it. Number one is here. This is the dead hedge here. And it goes all the way up. We call this the drive, rather grandly. Of course, it's not a drive, but we planted lime down one side, which I harvest a lot of. So we've got 3 tall lime, and then the rest are cut down to hedge height. And in the spring, particularly, I harvest the twigs because they're sort of pink. They've got lovely pink buds. And when the leaves come out, they're very zingy green. It looks like Japanese origami, very beautiful in floristry. And then on this side, we have a row of very tightly planted hornbeam. We're too wet for beech here, but hornbeam does very well. And these were planted by my father-in-law about 15 years ago, I should think. So they're a good height. They went in as 30-inch whips. So if you're thinking of planting a tree, it's always a good time to plant a tree. And 15 years, that's not bad, is it? We planted them very close together because I was inspired by the popes at the old garden at Hadspen House, which is now the Newt. There's this lovely circular walled garden. There used to be this beautiful circular walled garden, and in the middle of it there were these 2 rows of very tightly planted beech. And I guess what they had been originally was a beech hedge, and the popes had just let them grow tall. And underneath they were underplanted with forget-me-nots and aconites and lovely, delicious things. So when we planted the hornbeam here, it's quite close together. And it's been really, really effective. I think it's really, I love the drama of that sweep of trees. So it's not a drive, but we call it the drive in a grand way. The reason you might want to have a dead hedge is, one, you might be at this time of year cutting down lots of, pruning your apple trees or shaping trees or, picking up lots of dead wood or making lots of dead wood. If you pile it up in a heap along a side somewhere, you're providing an environment where beetles, small birds, hedgehogs, all kinds of people who really benefit the whole ecology of your garden can make a home in your dead hedge. And I'll take you along this and show you. So we've been refreshing it this end, and I'll show you the other side of it. So you see that as it rots down, so it doesn't take very long. Every year we add more material to it, and it just settles down and slowly rots away, introducing really good material back into the ground, so you can just add more to it. You don't find your dead hedge gets too big for you because it just slowly rots into the ground, which is a very good thing. So I'll take you along and have a show. And if you're new to the channel, you're very welcome. Please subscribe, press the bell icon, and we'll tell you when we've got more clips coming up. And if any of the tips and tricks we give you along the way are useful, you can always buy me a coffee, or better still, join the club. And the links to coffee and club membership are in the blurb to all my clips. Right, on we go. So here is dead hedge, ready for refreshing. And if I go closer, you can see lots of old twigs and old bits of wood. And not long ago, that all looked like where we've freshened it up there, and it's slowly rotted down into the ground. So Fabrizio's just going along to get rid of the bramble, and then we can put more dead clippings on here. While we're passing, I've just found this bat box on the ground, and I've picked it up to show you. So the bat box was on a tree, and it's been brought off the tree by the woodpecker, who has made a hole. So if you're putting up expensive bat boxes, sometimes other people like them for other things, and you just have to go with it. So here's the back of the dead hedge, and you can see all the new material on the top. But if I go closer, you can see the old, how it's all rotted down underneath. And this is an enormous and incredibly valuable environment for people to live in. All kinds of small creatures. I mean, really all kinds, loads and loads and loads of different small creatures can make a home in your dead hedge. And slowly, as you replace it over the years, the new bits will carry on decomposing down and make more environment. And look, one of the little galanthus, one of the snowdrops I moved last year, has popped up and opened. Hooray! And here's a lot more dead hedge ready for reviving, with fresh twiggery pokery added to the top. One more thing I must show you before we go any further, bring you down a bit. I'm not wearing my branded apron, first time in a million years. Now look, I've always rather envied that look of people walking around wearing things attached to their belt, but I could never work out how to do it because I don't generally wear a belt. I nearly always wear an apron. And this shows you how slow a processor I am. I am eventually quite clever, but you have to give me time to get there. Anyway, I've always loved wearing an apron. I feel contained, I've got pockets, I've got stuff and then look, I've got my new Nowaki Christmas Nowaki pouch, and I have put it on the apron string. I've got my new Nowaki thing. What are they called? Hori. And I've attached it to my apron belt. So at last I can be one of those people with a tool belt. I feel very fashion, you know, very, very chic, with my Nowaki chic, and more chic. Anyway, on we go. Now it's really important you don't get overexcited getting in the garden in early February, because you might have a sunny afternoon like today, but watch out for the damage you can do just walking around the ground. For example, that's just the path up to my studio and back. I'm really making a big mess of it. So do be careful you don't go out very full of ideas for a big task to get resolved and end up making more mess. Wait a little while, wait a little bit longer, just a little bit. It's really tempting at this time of year as well to start sowing seed. And if you're under grow lights and you've got heat and all of that stuff, if you must, go for it. But on the 15th of February, if you're on the Northern Hemisphere, we'll have 10 hours of daylight. And 10 hours of daylight means that seeds sown on the 15th of February germinate more quickly, grow straighter, stronger, greener, and catch up with and often overtake seeds sown earlier. So if you can just hold your nerve, it's a really good idea. You can get ready. So take your seed trays, give them a brush out, give them a rinse off, get your labels ready, get everything ready. And one of the things I'm going to do, I may have ordered a few seeds, is line my seeds up so I can see what I'm sowing and when, and get that all ready. I've had the boxes of seeds sitting on the side, and I've not been allowing myself to open them up until now. So the fact that I haven't sorted them out means I must sort them out, which takes time. So it means I don't give in to sowing seed. Right, what have we got here? That's very satisfying. I've sorted all my seed into order of when it's going to be sown, and had a look at any interesting notes on it, thinking about what I'm going to do. So I've got my season ready, and I'm going to chuck a little bit in the freezer. I'm going to freeze the larkspur seed for a week or two until I sow on the 15th of February, for example, because it likes a little bit of cold weather to help it germinate. So the larkspur, for example, is going to go in the freezer. The only thing I am allowed to sow now, if I can't resist it any longer, the urge is very strong, is I'm allowed to sow my second crop of sweet peas. So the first crop are in the polytunnel, planted in the ground, and they need their netting, but they're fine, they're kind of settling in, which means that my sweet pea trays are empty. Ha ha ha. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kinds of sweet peas. I've got Black Prince, Royal Wedding, All But Blue, Monarch's Diamond, Charlie's Angel, old favourite, Piggy Sue, and Juliet. I've gone for they're very pale and interesting, mostly colours, except for Black Prince, obviously. So I think I'm allowed to sow these. On we go. I'm a great believer in getting jobs done, just 5 minutes at a time. If you think I must do all of a job, it can be very overwhelming. But if you just give yourself 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes a day to do something, then you get something done. Now, we did this very foolish thing. When we did the new studio, we put a gravel apron for the parking. Very pretty. I've always fantasized about being one of those grand ladies who their drive crunches with gravel. But unfortunately, we had run out of money, so we couldn't edge the gravel. Normally you'd have a little kind of smart metal edging that would stop the grass from kind of creeping into the gravel, and we had run out of money, so we couldn't do that. And so I am spending 5 minutes a day weeding the gravel. And if I spend 5 minutes a day for the rest of every day, the rest of my life, I will keep on top of it. And I think 5 minutes a day is plenty. If I say to myself, I'm going to do an hour of gravel weeding, I won't do it. But I will do 5 minutes. And I can put on a podcast and just work my way through the gravel every day, just do a little bit. And I'm afraid it's going to go on and on and on and on and on, but I chose it. And so I will be weeding the gravel for the rest of my life. But I can do it 5 minutes at a time. And so it takes the same time as emptying the dishwasher or putting a wash on, or, it's just a little chore. And I know that gardening is often seen as, I think it's Anne Wareham said you have to be really careful to make sure it doesn't become housework in the garden. But it is a bit, but I quite like playing housey, and I certainly don't mind weeding the gravel so long as I've got my knee pads on and a podcast. I'll tell you what I can do, because it's dry and they've been outside all winter. These little foxgloves they were the last ones from when we were pricking them out in the autumn. A lot of them have been planted out and they're fine. They've been there all winter. These have been outside sitting here all winter. So I'm allowed to plant some of them out. and I'm going to keep a couple back because, as I'm sure those of you who've been with me for a while will have been wondering, she's not mentioned the plant sale yet. Well, let's start thinking about holding a common good plant sale this year on the 10th of May 2025. I know that we have people who engage with us from all around the world, and my thing is that sometimes we can do a little good thing, and if we raise a little bit of money for charity, that does lots of different things. It gets the community together. It's about the money, but it's kind of not only about the money. It gets the community together. People come together because they love growing plants and they love to sell them and share. So grow some extra plants, have a plant sale, raise a little bit of money for your local horticultural charity, and see how it brings you all together, as well as putting a little bit of support into the pocket of whatever your local horticultural charity is. We have a place in Wincanton here called the Growing Space, which is part of the Balsam Centre, which is a fantastic resource for all of the people of Wincanton. And the Growing Space is a place where people who really need some outside activity can find a welcome and learning and encouragement, and it's such a valuable spot. So we'll be raising money for the Growing Space in Wincanton, as well as the village church, the village hall, and my friend Mamie, who has a charity called the Treatment Bag, which offers bags of really lovely things for people going through cancer treatment, which I think is such a brilliant idea. I sent one of the bags myself to a friend the other day, and I had the nicest message. I think it was a real success. Anyway, so we will be raising money for the Treatment Bag, the Growing Space in Wincanton, and the village church and the village hall here in Charlton Musgrove. But will you think about holding a plant sale on the second Saturday of February? No, not February. Second Saturday of May. It's the 10th of May this year, I think. The second Saturday of May this year. And if we all hold plant sales all around the world, imagine the ripple effect of the good feeling. What an amazing effect we can have on our environment by holding those plant sales. If you're looking also for a bigger charity, I discovered a charity called the Lemon Tree Trust, which helps set up gardens in refugee camps. And I think it's the most fantastic idea. So especially given that we may or may not, things in the Middle East may be calming down a little bit, I hope, cross fingers, there might be space now for the Lemon Tree Trust to go in. And I know, of course, people need a roof over their heads and a hospital and a school, but I also think people very badly need a growing space. So I think the Lemon Tree Trust is an extraordinary charity in sponsoring gardens in refugee camps. So if you haven't got a local gardening charity or can't think of somebody to raise money for, then if you imagine you've got one spare foxglove seedling and you sell it to a neighbour for £2, and you take that £2 and you give it to your local gardening charity or the Lemon Tree Trust, and sometime later a child is shown how to sow a pumpkin seed in a pot and water it and watch it germinate and grow into food because you did a good thing. Win and more win. Anyway, I'll do a special clip about the plant sale, but this is just a heads up that you're going to hear some more about it. Right, on we go. I really better get on. But I thought I should say goodbye. Thanks very much for visiting. Hopefully I'll be back to making my regular clips now that I've sort of worked out how Substack works a bit and got my brain around everything. I find running a small business which is constantly evolving. You know, all small businesses evolve all the time. But I find when I make a big change, like learning how to do Substack, I feel like I'm trying to turn the Titanic. It's like, oh, my brain is sort of like this. Anyway, hopefully I'll be bit back to normal. Thank you for your patience and for coming along today. And let's go in and have a year full of gardening starting today.